Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here with you today. Today's class is an informational class, so I'm not really going to be teaching you how to do something today, but hopefully you'll learn some interesting things that you can use with your family and friends and groups that you might work with in your church or wherever. So the class today is on the campaigns that FamilySearch does, and also on the BYU family history projects that the record linking lab does at BYU. Okay, so both BYU and FamilySearch have project teams, and they work on online projects because they want to get people more interested in doing family history work and getting families together. And there's been a lot of research done on how, when especially preteens and teenagers, when they get into family history and they understand their family's history better, they actually do much better during their teen years, particularly. They seem a little bit less unstable. They kind of find out who they are a little bit more easily, and generally have better outcomes. So that's one of the reasons why FamilySearch wants to get kids particularly interested in FamilySearch, but there's also a lot of things that they do that are just for groups or of people or youth or families or individuals to do that are really fun. So the projects that they do can be of interest to genealogists, but they're not necessarily anything that's really esoteric or anything like that. They develop them all the time, often for holidays, so you should check for holiday projects, especially on FamilySearch. And they introduce them fairly often. Sometimes they take them away, though, when after the project has been finished or something else has come along. They don't want to clutter it up, I guess. So the FamilySearch campaigns are in FamilySearch. These are particularly projects that are centered around experiences and activities and things that you can do within FamilySearch to find more information, or to just have a fun experience with FamilySearch. They're really good for, like, if you do a family evening, or if you have youth groups that you work with, if you are just browsing in FamilySearch and want something to do, if you're bored, or if you just want to be able to do something really quick in FamilySearch really fast, maybe 5 to 15 minutes. A lot of these projects or activities can only just take a little short time. So that's one of the really good things about it. Especially, I know kids like these a lot. My grandkids and my husband and I, we work with them sometimes on these kinds of little projects that are on FamilySearch, and our grandkids really, really like those. So they're a lot of fun for kids. So how do you find them? They're not that easy to find, frankly, because you can't like put them in the help search. But the easiest way is just to type in to Google or whatever your browser is, all campaigns FamilySearch, or just campaigns FamilySearch. It will bring it up. This is the actual URL for it. Their campaign list, DO campaign list, although I have had it not even come up sometimes with that particular thing, but it should. And then you can also find them on the notifications bell that's up by your on your profile. When you go into your profile by your name in the upper right corner of the page, any of the pages, if you go there and you look under discoveries, then you can turn on the discoveries, so they'll send you information about these things, about these new things, or if they want to like emphasize something or whatever, they will send you those by text. If you want text, or if you want just emails, they'll send you stuff also about your ancestors. So there's an article in the help section called Find Past FamilySearch Campaign Messages or Notifications. You can put that into the help, and you'll find that. And then you can go to the discovery page, which is also on the main page, the home page. But if you go to the discovery, either in help or in the main page, that is like not complete. It doesn't have all the past ones. it's just sort of a selection of them. So the important thing is, how can I use these activities, these campaign activities? And there's a lot of different things that you can do with them. There's stuff about family history, about your ancestors' stories, there are little quizzes in there you can take. There are ways to look at your photos and your memories in a historical context and so on. So you can see here these are just some of them. There are about 30 some odd of them in there right now. And these are some challenging times, for example, events, life histories, associations, accomplishments, milestones in your ancestors' lives. And there's some, like I say, some things you can do for 5 to 15 minutes with family history. There's a part there that's really helpful, finding ancestral obituaries that are already in FamilySearch, finding out where your ancestors are buried and looking at headstones. And also there's a little section there about who's contributing to your tree, so you can get in touch with like cousins or people that you don't know who they are, but they're working on your tree. Now remember, most of the things that will come up in this are not going to be collateral ancestry. There'll be people within your own direct line. Okay, so they're not just throwing everybody that's in the tree that could possibly be related to you at you. They're just going to find the main people that are on your exact line that goes back from you to your grandparents and so on and so on. Another thing you can do on it is you can find hints. So a lot of times people say, well, how do I find these hints? There are a couple of ways to find them. One's on the main page, but you can go to the campaigns, and they do have a hint page, and it will give you the hints that you can attach to your relatives. So that's kind of a helpful thing to find some sources if you're not really a big researcher, or if you're like a kid. Of course, you need to know how to do that, but it's not very hard. And if you are a parent or grandparent or a leader of a group of youth, you can teach them really fast to do that, and it's really fun. The only thing you always, of course, have to caution them on is to make sure that all the information is the same, and not to attach things that they shouldn't attach things that have discrepancies, because even though they may be the same person, sometimes things look exactly right and they're not, because there's maybe one or two things that are wrong, and then you need to find that out as a researcher. So that's the only caveat I have about finding those hints to attach. The Joseph Smith papers were just barely published recently, and you are able to now go there and find relatives in those papers, people who were associated with Joseph Smith and that he wrote, or that other people who were writing things down for him wrote. If you're really interested in colonial ancestors, you can find Mayflower relatives. I am actually related to a couple of them, and so it's kind of fun, because I can see John Alden's page from that page and look at some other information about the Mayflower. They usually give you like historical background of things and just kind of a little more context for your ancestors. And that is one thing that's really fun to me about these campaigns, is because it's not just, here's a person, this is what his life history is, that this date, this date, this date. They give you more context for what was going on at the time and what they might have gone through. If your ancestor was in the military and there are records attached to him, or they think there might be hints, you can find those there as well. And if you want to know who's attached what just lately, you can find the newest memories that somebody's attached, not just you. This one right here down there at the bottom, a new document was added for my great aunt by my cousin Ed K. So I know he's the one who did that. There's a kind of a cool thing. It doesn't really help you create them, but what it does is you can look at on the page, if you're Hispanic or you like Hispanic things for the Day of the Dead, you can look on that and look at different people's ofrendas and use your own memories of the memories of people in the family to create ofrendas. In case you don't know what those are those they make those big memorials with candles and pictures and every decorations and things like that on Day of the Dead for their ancestors in Mexico and a couple of other of the Spanish speaking countries. They're kind of cool. I really like them. If you are LDS, you can find opportunities and temple ordinances for yourself and other members of your ward if you are related. I mean, if you are have a calling in family history. You can find religious records and information for any religion. So if your grandparent has, like a great grandparent or whatever, has a record that's attached from a religious organization, they will show you those. You can find immigration information, which is really neat because, like this one here from William Clayton, that has a link to that whole letter, which is about his voyage from England to the United States. So it's really fun to see those things, those kind of memories. There's a section where you can send links to your friends, and then you can find out how you're related to each other. And also, if you're going to go to Roots Tech, which I hope you all are, you can do relatives at Roots Tech, and that's really fun to find out how many of your relatives are there and who they are. There's a little section on creating a family tree keepsake. You can print out a family tree that's one of those 4 right there right now. Those are the ones they have. So there's just a lot of really fun and interesting things. That's just a sampling. Here's a few more. There's a thing on the 1950 census. So if your parents or yourself was in the 1950 census, you can find out more about that and about them at that time period. My dad was 22 in 1950, which is 2 years before I was born. So he had just gotten married not too long before that and had 2 daughters. And I was born shortly after. There's a cool calendar. So it goes through the whole year and gives your closest relatives birth dates, which is kind of fun. So you can celebrate birthdays in your family, like have little birthday family celebrations for your closest relatives that you might like to do that with your kids. The ancestor infographic is really cool because what they've done, I couldn't put the whole thing in here, but what they've done is they've taken your ancestral line, your direct descendancy line, and gone back, and they tell you where the most of your ancestors came from, where they were born. Mostly mine were born in England. In fact, probably all of them originally came from England, even the ones from the United States, and so on. So it's really kind of fun. And then the one on the end of the year in review, so that came out at the end of 2023, if you want to check that out. And it tells you how many contributions you and other people made to your direct line. Again, it's not everything you put in, that's on a different place, but anything that you did on your direct ancestry line, they will show you that and see what they are. So that's kind of fun. The BYU Record Linking Lab is different from FamilySearch. They are a group of students under the direction of faculty members there at BYU, and they have this really great lab that is designed to link family history records to the people that they belong to. Is basically what it is. And they would like everybody to be able to, as it says there, discover their family. And of course, one of the best ways is by linking records, extracting texts, and creating discovery experiences. So they kind of have some of the same goals that FamilySearch has. They just do it in a little bit different way. They work mainly with college students and youth. And so theirs is designed to be used on a mobile device, because you'll find if you work with the youth at all, that they do most of their FamilySearch stuff on their phones, younger people. Me, I personally prefer to do it on the computer, but a lot of them do it on their phones. So it's very important for them. You can donate to the Record Linking Lab. They have a really cool Facebook page as well, but you can donate to them, and that will be really helpful because then they can hire more undergraduate research assistants from BYU, the students there, and they can give them experience actually doing the kinds of things that they are interested in doing as a career. And then everything that they do results in improvements to the family tree. So if you're a FamilySearch user, everything they do will ultimately help FamilySearch out. They actually work with other universities and other organizations as well as BYU to do some of these projects that they do. So there's a lot of really good stuff going on in the Record Linking Lab, and I'll show you some of those. So these are just 5 of the ones that they're doing or have done. they've been working on automated indexing, which will be really useful when they can get it so that it's accurate enough, and it's really close right now. They've really done a great job of getting the automatic indexing done. And of course, as you know, if you don't have an index to something, it's just running through each record until you find something that you want for your ancestors. So it's going to be just so wonderful if we can do automated indexing without it being really badly inaccurate. They have done a lot with African American families. So that's another project they're doing. They have added over 6 million African Americans to the family tree. So it's people, African Americans whom I consult with often are worried when they begin, because they don't really know, is there anything that's going to be available? And the answer is there still isn't a lot available, but there is enough available now that African American ancestry can be done. And it can be done pretty actually back into the 19th century. So not terribly far sometimes, but thanks to these kinds of record linking things, there's a lot of things that are getting put on more and more all the time. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has given a lot of money to these types of projects, not just to BYU's, but to other organizations, because the church is really, really interested in helping African Americans get their family history work done. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Another one is the census tree. They're planning to link 217 million people who lived in the United States between 1850 and 1940 across each of the census records, so that they have connected them to each census record and their families. If you do census work, you know that you have to, painstakingly go through every census, make a graph from each census and so on, and then compare them. And that's the greatest way to of course, do census work. But this will help us be able to do that work a little more easily. And so that's a really great project. They do academic projects, as I said, with partners. One is the University of Michigan. They worked with the Mother's Pension Project with UCLA, and they did a project to digitize and index U.S. manufacturing censuses. And then the Stanford and UCLA universities, they worked with them to get Ellis Island oral histories online, which is really an awesome thing as well, because those ancestors who came over as immigrants often left wonderful, wonderful oral histories as well as written histories. And the last one is the college project, which they're doing right now with Harvard. They're gathering data on every student who attended Harvard during the early 1900s. So these kinds of projects, you can see, are really going to be useful for those of us who do genealogy research. They're just really wonderful, and they're coming up with new ideas and projects all the time. They also do video projects, and they have them online. They're on either YouTube, or else you can go to their website. And these are just a few of them. You can also, if some, they like to have projects to do. So if you have a really cool project you think would be cool, or you are a video person, who does these kinds of things, and you thought of something, you could possibly connect with them and help them to come up with some ideas, or help them work with videos. So there's a lot of interesting things. I would suggest looking on YouTube and finding some of these and going through them, because they're kind of interesting. So the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that they need volunteers. Okay, so if you're interested in doing some really important genealogy helpful work, this would be a thing to do. And so you can go to the record linking lab, and when you get there, click on the tab that says volunteer. And these are some of the ones that they need right now, that they need ancestor or help with, for getting these ancestors into the world so we can see them. So you can see there's a cohort study from the 1920 census, the people born in 1913. usually those cohort studies choose like one group of people and just work with everybody that they can find within that group. And this is one of those for the 1913 people who were born in the United States. The Numident project is a record collection based on the Social Security Administration records. Social Security is a really great resource for family history in the United States. They're focusing particularly on African American families and families in Puerto Rico right now, and they can use some help with that. This is an LDS project to convert temples ordinance connections that haven't been connected yet. Puerto Rico connection project is to help people find their family in Puerto Rico, which is really a great project. I've done consultations, a few. I don't do very many because I do sort of speak Spanish, but I'm not a Spanish researcher. But I know people have a hard time with these Hispanic countries because sometimes the records either are not online or they're just difficult to find. So this is an important project as well. So if you speak Spanish or are connected to Puerto Rico, it might be something for you to do. Merge duplicates in Families Tree. We have, as everybody knows, we have tons of duplicates because in case you don't know how that happened, when they converted the old personal ancestral file into FamilySearch, the way they did it was they took each event and they took each name from that event and put it as a page. So that was a really great way to do it with the technology that they had at the time, and it worked really well. But what happened from that is that you have duplicates for, like, if you had 3 or 4 kids in a family and they each had their own birth record, the mother and dad will be on each of those records as well. So the mom and dad from that record would also have their own page from each of those birth records. So you'd have 6 extra records there for the parents that you might have to merge. So that's what this is all about, is trying to help people to get into merging things and know how to do it. And then the Census project, this is another African American project for former slaves before the 1940 census. And so this will be really helpful for them, and also using record hints. So they're trying to figure out ways to use the map app and Goldie May to help put record hints into Family Tree. And we all know that those record hints can be extremely useful. So hopefully that will be a good project. So I urge you, if you have the interest or the desire or the time to get involved with the BYU lab. It's really a great place to do some really great things for family history and have fun. I hope that all these activities and projects that I've shown you will kind of spark some interest in you and in your family and in your friends and youth groups and even younger kids. I know our 8-year-old and 6-year-old grandsons even enjoy some of these projects. So it's really a lot of fun. It brings us together as families, which is what family history is really all about in the nitty-gritty, not just the dead people, but the live people too. And that's what's, in my mind, what family history is all about. So thank you very much for coming. And I know this was a pretty short one, but that's okay. Sometimes they go too long. So this one is just a short one. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This will be online on our website as a PDF as well. So you can kind of take a look again at some of those things that we talked about, and it'll be on YouTube.
Jerroleen, there is one question from Susan Cushman. She says, BYU linking project, what does one hop relative mean?
Oh, I think it means like, so there's you and then your parents and then your grandparents would be a one hop. So like your grandparents, then there would be a one hop away from them too. So it's just, I think that's what that means. That's what my understanding of what one hop relative means. It means it's just one hop away.
Okay, that makes sense. There's one other, let's see, we have a comment from Judith Crookson saying, so glad I watched this. I want to explore these. And so do I. So thank you, Jerroleen, for creating this. And we appreciate your time to present today.